So over the weekend, President Trump went on Twitter and he said that Obama's spying on him and this is unbelievable and this is so wrong. And, you know, he started doing it back during the campaign. Now, he made this claim because he read an article on a right-wing website. I believe it was Breitbart. The original claim came from a right-wing talk radio host named Mark Levin. Mark Levin is a notorious bullshitter. I remember the first experience I had listening to Mark Levin for an extended period of time. It was during the Obama administration. It was already after there had been millions of private sector jobs created, and he was ripping Obama as the worst president on the economy ever. And then some guy called up and he said, I don't know what you're talking about. We were losing 800,000 jobs when Bush was on his way out. We were losing 800,000 jobs a month. Now under Obama, he's created millions. I think the number was like 8 million or so jobs he had created at the time. And Marco was like, no. He's kind of like Ted Cruz. He's got the nasally voice, and he really just makes shit up nonstop. No, wrong. He's the worst economic president ever. Well, that's just not accurate, but he says shit. So he's the one who apparently originally came up with this claim. He went on Fox and Friends like a day or two later, and he said, I'm not Nostradamus, so I don't really know if Obama was the one who ordered this thing. In other words, I got nothing for you. So that's what happened, and then now Republican senators and everybody's coming out and commenting on it. So Lindsey Graham was doing a town hall, and he weighed in on this assertion that Trump thinks Obama spied on him. Let's listen to what he says, and then we'll break it down.
So apparently this morning, President Trump tweeted out that he believes that President Obama ordered wiretapping of his campaign, Trump Tower, and that would be, yes. So I don't know what happened, but I can only tell you the summary of the tweet. The President of the United States is claiming that the former President of the United States ordered wiretapping of his campaign last year. I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is true, illegally, it would be the biggest political scandal since Watergate. Now, the other side of the story, just be quiet for a second. If the former President of the United States was able to obtain a warrant lawfully to monitor Trump's campaign for violating law, that would be the biggest scandal since Watergate. Yeah. So here's the deal. As we get ready to talk to each other, I'm very worried. I'm very worried that our president is suggesting that the former president has done something illegally. I would be very worried if, in fact, the Obama administration was able to obtain a warrant lawfully about Trump campaign activity with foreign governments.
Look at some of the little nuggets he left us there. He said, biggest scandal since Watergate. Let's think about this. If you had, somebody who's running for president, or, somebody who's basically just a politician at the time, being spied on by the NSA. Is that the biggest scandal since Watergate? Because I seem to recall a story about Obama being spied on before he was president, and nobody even gave a fuck. Like, this story wasn't even headline news. It was like, yeah, he's being spied on, and, we have multiple sources in the NSA saying that he was being spied on, and nobody cares. But now when it's Trump, because Trump goes on Twitter and tweets in all caps, it was, oh my God, biggest scandal ever. So, but even putting that aside, let's assume for a second it's true, which, by the way, it might be true that the NSA or just the intelligence agencies were spying on Trump. I wouldn't put it past the intelligence agencies to spy on every single candidate. And I don't think necessarily that Obama would have ordered it. But, the rogue intelligence agencies, the deep state, they're basically the worst actors in our government. They're the most hawkish. They're the ones who care least about civil liberties. So it's possible that that's the case, that they spied on him. Now, but let's assume that's true. He just called it the biggest scandal since Watergate. Okay, the NSA is spying on everybody, Lindsay. How is that not a bigger scandal? Well, the NSA maybe spied on a presidential candidate. Oh my God, biggest scandal since Watergate. The NSA is spying on everybody in the fucking country and collecting their metadata and putting it in a multi-billion-dollar facility in Utah. I don't even think that's a scandal at all. I don't think that's the right thing. You should be spying on everybody. Because that's what Lindsey Graham actually believes. Yeah, spy on everybody. But oh my goodness, let me clutch my pearls if you tell me, Miss Lindsey Graham, that you spied on somebody part of the elite class. Why, I never. Because then he thinks, oh shit, then they could be spying on me too. Because I'm a politician, I'm a senator, I'm somebody who has power. And in his mind, spying on everybody in the country, who cares about the peasants? They're supposed to spy on them. But spying, oh my God, somebody who's a billionaire, somebody who is a businessman, somebody who's a politician who makes a lot of money, somebody who is part of this elite establishment circle. Well, oh my God, biggest scandal since Watergate. So spying on Trump would be the biggest scandal ever. But spying on everybody, he doesn't even care. In fact, he's for it. And then he also said, why I am concerned that somebody's accusing the former president of doing something illegal. Oh. Lindsay, you want to talk about illegal actions? How about the fact that I already mentioned the NSA spying on everybody? That's just brazenly unconstitutional. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable search and seizure. That is like the definition of an unreasonable search and seizure. There is no specific warrant to describe a specific, place or thing to be searched. So that's unconstitutional. How about the fact that we did routine torture? That seems like a bigger scandal than Watergate to me. When the torture report was released and we found we did, sleep deprivation and loud music torture and hypothermia torture and anal rape torture and mock burials and all these horrific, disgusting things that came directly out of communist Chinese manuals on how to torture. He's like, no, I'm for that. Again, that's cool. So where's the scandal there? We invaded a country that didn't attack us and then occupied it. And, 15 years later, we're still there. And he's like, that scandal? No, it's not a scandal. What? So we can wage illegal wars. We can set up a worldwide torture regime. Obama can have a fucking kill list and assassinate American citizens on the kill list. He's like, no, that's not a scandal. It's a scandal if they're spying on a politician who's running, or a popular politician. Well, you didn't care about it when it was Obama. You didn't care about it when it was Obama being spied on. Now that it's maybe Donald Trump being spied on, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So, you know what the whole point of me doing this story is? It's for me to tell you guys, there's no rhyme or reason as to why certain stories blow up and other stories don't. It's almost like it's totally and completely fucking arbitrary. Again, the news about Obama being spied on before he was president, nobody cared. In fact, I think, as far as I remember, we were the only people that covered it. And I think it was part of the batch of information that came out in the Snowden leaks. So, and to be fair, there were a million other stories that were part of that were huge stories as well. But, that was barely a blip in the radar that candidate Obama was spied on. But you would think, like, okay, that's the standard, I guess. So if there's a politician who spied on, whatever. But when it's Trump, and I guess it's just because it's Trump and he went on Twitter and he bitched about it, the people, oh my God, biggest scandal ever. None of them remember or know that Obama was also spied on. And again, the other thing is, like I said, the original claim is from Mark Levin, a right-wing radio host. It's certainly possible that they spied on Trump, but there is no evidence. I just want to be clear about that. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised because they spied on Obama, but I don't think Obama would have directly ordered it. I think the deep state is a rogue, and I think they do whatever the fuck they want to do. So maybe they did it, but there's no evidence to that effect, and for Trump to blame Obama is ridiculous. And again, this blew up way more than Obama's story blew up. And then you have idiots like Lindsey Graham pretending this is the biggest scandal ever, when it wasn't even a scandal, never mind a big scandal under Obama, and he's disregarding all the things that are real scandals. It drives me crazy, man, because it doesn't matter how many war crimes, our government commits. It doesn't matter how many times we brazenly violate international law. It doesn't matter how many times we rip up the Constitution. I mean, we have Guantanamo Bay. There's no more habeas corpus, no more due process. Obama, we did 7 military interventions under Obama. And for some of them, he said, no, it's cool, guys. We're just going to tack on the intervention in Syria to the National Defense Authorization Act, a previous declaration of war effectively that allows us to fight the war on terror and fight Al-Qaeda anywhere they may be. So, guys, that is really radical, because the way it's supposed to work is if you want to, do a bombing mission or go to war with a certain country, you're supposed to, declare war on that specific country. That's the way it's always been. But no, now, the Democrats and the Republicans have an agreement. All right, we're all going to ignore the Constitution and be really hawkish, right? Right. Okay, so now a politician or the president has authority to go anywhere they want, because we're just going to tack it on to a previous, declaration of war and say, well, now because you declared the war on terror, the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan, just lump Syria into that bin, lump Yemen and Pakistan and Somalia and Libya. And so you basically have a president who can go to war anywhere on the planet and just say it's part of the war on terror. I mean, that is as radical as it gets, man. There's no checks and balances when it comes to war. I mean, that's a really fucking big scandal. Lindsey Graham, not only does he not think that's a scandal, he thinks that's correct. He thinks that's the right thing. He thinks the U.S. president should be able to act like a world dictator and invade and bomb anywhere and just say, terrorists, just hide behind the word terrorist. And remember, Lindsey Graham is the guy who said, we don't leave, talking about Iraq and maybe Afghanistan too. He said it in interviews, you don't leave. Because somebody asked him, well, when do you want to get out? You keep saying, oh, we got to stay there, we got to increase troop levels, this and that. He's like, you don't get out. I don't know what you're talking about. And this guy's got the nerve to, this is a big scandal, that's a big scandal. Your existence as a senator is a gigantic scandal because they don't come more hawkish than you. You're as hawkish as it gets. It's really sad. So, look, on the Trump thing, I wouldn't be surprised if they're spying on him, but just be clear that the original source was far-right websites and there's no evidence for it. And nobody cared when it was Obama, so there's this weird thing going on right now, and I really just don't get why certain stories blow up and become the big thing. It's like the Russia nonsense. It's all based on innuendo and implications and blowing things out of proportion, but somehow that's the number one argument now being used by the resistance, aka the establishment Democrats. And we're going to get to this story in a second, but the results of it are utterly disastrous.